The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. Now, here he is, author of Liberalism is a Mental Disorder, Trump's War, and God, Faith, and Reason, Michael Savage.
It's the Savage Nation. Lou Pate filling in for Dr. Savage. He will be back tomorrow. In the meantime, check out michaelsavage.com for all the latest news and headlines. And while there, pre-order Dr. Savage's last political book. It's called Stop Mass Hysteria. And boy, mass hysteria is what we are certainly seeing on all fronts in the era of Trump, which leads me to kind of what we're going to unofficially call the topic of the show. The topic of the hour is they just don't get it. They still just don't get it. Or should I say they don't get him, President Trump. Welcome and good afternoon. Lou Pate here with you. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, it's 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Barack Obama, former president, and with him being the former president, former is now my official favorite word. Former president sticking his head out of the sand as we are now officially in the home stretch of the campaign season for the midterm elections, and he is criticizing Donald Trump, of course. We're going to get to great detail on that, but I just want to touch on the last time I was here, I talked about the dark ages of media, how history will look back on this as the dark ages of media, and it truly is the media reporting on what they want the news to be, not what the news is. And this is leading us down a very perilous road. We have people like Benghazi hero Chris Paronto, who is now being limited on Twitter for criticizing the aforementioned former president Barack Obama. Barack Obama has been giving speeches. We'll get to the details of those speeches, criticizing our president, Donald J. Trump, and also criticizing the action in Benghazi, the deaths of the civilians and the soldiers there. Chris Paronto on the roof there fought for his life for many hours while Obama, well, nobody knows where he was, and then Hillary declining to give them help in the form of U.S. service, who was just hours away by as the jet flies like the crow. They could have helped and maybe saved all of these men's lives, or some of them at the very least. So they got into it there. But when you see people being censored on social media because of their political beliefs that differ with the media establishment, who, as I say, are in the dark ages, this is horrible. That is fascism. Everything that the left in this country points their fingers at everyone else and accuses them of: bigotry, racism, misogyny, fascism, on and on and on, is all the actions that they take part in every minute of every day. They believe it, they breathe it, yet they can't see it. They're so blinded by their hatred. They're so intolerant of everybody else's actions that are different than theirs. They just can't. It's about stop, stop, stop. What we have the Emmy Awards the other night, some actress that I've never heard of saying, where, in reference to President Trump, where's John Wilkes Booth when you need him? This is the second John Wilkes Booth reference. Remember, Johnny Depp made one a while back. I mean, unbelievable. During the Obama presidency, you couldn't make fun of his shoes. You couldn't make fun of his big ears. You couldn't do anything. And now people are openly calling for the assassination of the president, or indirectly. Where's John Wilkes Booth where you need him? That's as indirect as direct as you're going to get. And bring in former President Obama, making the rounds for the Democratic Socialists, the hard left of the party. But he's not really campaigning for them. It's all about him. Different organizations have made count of how many times he referenced himself in these speeches, and he makes it all about him. He is an extreme narcissist. His ego is bigger than these aforementioned ears. But what we have going on now, and I'd like to know from you, the listeners to the Savage Nation, is this. Will the presence of Barack Obama on the campaign trail, will it help the so-called blue wave that may or may not be coming? Or will it really energize Republican voters, Trump supporters, and bring them to the polls. You watch TV, you don't know what to think. You don't know if there's an enthusiasm gap on the Republican side. You don't know if there's, hyper interest on the left, because you can't believe anything you really see on MSNBC or CNN. I mean, as a sidebar, CNN still has their heels dug in on the Lanny Davis story, where he said Michael Cohen can, prove collusion. And that story came from, Carl Bernstein, who he's partner there, Bob Woodward, who has a new book coming out. I'm not going to talk about the book. I'm not going to give it promotion. But, these guys are still living in the era of Watergate. I guess maybe it's tough for them. They peaked in Watergate when it was so young, and now they're just trying to, redo that, reinvent the wheel, and create another Watergate. They're dragging that dead carcass of Watergate around for the last 40 plus years, and it's kind of nobody cares, especially the younger generation. Heck, for the younger generation, Watergate might as well have been, Lincoln or the Civil War. They can't associate to that. They weren't even born at the time, and they don't care. So we have all of these lies going on in the media. Again, the media presenting news that they want the news to be. I've talked about this before. Remember, they would always say, oh, Robert Mueller, he's going to be fired by President Trump, when Trump would come out and say, I have no intention of firing him. It's the same thing. We had the Michael Wolff book, and we had the Omarosa book, and then they fell by the wayside when they lost all credibility and everything turned out to be false. Now we have the Woodward one coming out. That will fall by the wayside after a media blitz where they run with every little part that's in it. And it's an amazing thing. Of course, when Barack Obama comes out and now hits the campaign trail, he's a media darling. The lemmings in the media, hanging on his every word, really patting him on the back for taking it to President Trump. We're going to play some of that audio coming up a little later. They neglect to point out that in Orange County, California, the bloom was off the rose. Only 750 people actually turned out to see President Obama. And this is in California. Yeah, I know Orange County is red in the blue state of California, but still, you are surrounded by blue enclaves all around Orange County. I've lived in Southern California. It is not difficult to get from the blue of blue in Los Angeles down to Orange County. I've made that trek a million times. It's only a few miles. Heck, you wouldn't want to walk it, but if you had to walk it, you could. So they talk about what he says. They talk about his criticism of Donald Trump, and they talk about the content of what he says, which is really the same old from the Democratic Party. Division and race and bigotry and fighting prejudice and all of this. This is all he has brought to the table. Standing up to bullies, the Nazi comment, which he made a comment, how hard is it to say Nazis are bad, which obviously immediately in my mind, and probably the mind of millions of others, because people posted it on social media, how hard is it to say Muslim fundamentalist terrorists? Because remember, he wouldn't say that. He would not link Islam to the terrorists that were out there, and everybody made a big deal about it. And so for him to come out, he must think Americans are stupid. He must think people forgot. He knows the media is on his side, so they won't report it. Yet he says, how hard is it to say Nazis are bad? Only someone who is an extreme narcissist, someone lacking in, I'm not going to say intelligence because he is a smart man, but I don't think he has street smarts for a community organizer. Do you remember when presidents used to just go away? They would have class, they would have integrity, they would have dignity, whether they were Republicans or whether they were Democrats. Their time in office, whether it was 1 term or 2 terms, they'd go away. Maybe you stay away a few years, show up once a year at a charity thing, maybe show up every 4 years at a convention or things of that nature. You had Nixon went away, that was Watergate, as I mentioned, but you had previous presidents, all of them from Jimmy Carter to Gerald Ford. He'd show up at golf outings, the Gerald Ford deal he had in Palm Springs, and George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush. They all, even Ronald Reagan, but he had Alzheimer's later. They all went away. Then along came Bill Clinton, and Bill Clinton just cannot go away. The cancer that is the Clintons, the Clinton crime family of Arkansas, they will just not go away. And now it's like Barack Obama out on the campaign trail is trying to be the new Bill Clinton. Maybe he'll go out to Jeffrey Rothstein's island out there off of Florida. I don't know. Remember when Bill Clinton shook his Secret Service detail to go do that? It is an amazing phenomenon. Maybe it's because they were young men when they were president and they have to have something to do. But isn't Obama doing what Obama does, right? He's a community organizer, and he's trying to organize the troops. He's trying to rally the people to get out to vote. And I just think, as I said, the bloom is off the rose. I don't think there is a love affair with the people and Barack Obama. The media, it'll always be there. So he's living in this bubble where he's only listening to the media, and he's really not living in the real world. Because let's face it, folks, what is the legacy of the presidency of Barack Hussein Obama? The legacy of the Obama administration, the Obama presidency, is Donald J. Trump as president. And this is what the media doesn't get it. They still don't get it. They don't get President Trump. They will never get that President Trump, which means they don't get you. And they don't get me either. They do not understand the American people. Donald Trump, for someone who was born very wealthy and went to some of the best schools in the world, understands regular working class Americans like ourselves better than I ever would have expected before he became president. I must be honest with that. For a rich guy who became even richer on his own, he has a pulse on what America is thinking. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the economy. This is where the tiff is lying. President Trump is responsible, in my opinion, for the economy. Former President Obama, well, he was a little irked that President Trump is taking credit for it. He wants credit for the economy. And when we come back, we're going to take your calls, and we're going to talk about why the booming Trump economy has absolutely nothing to do with the Obama presidency. 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. My name is Lou Pate, and remember, go to michaelsavage.com, click on the site for your news and headlines, and while there, pre-order Dr. Savage's last political book, Stop Mass Hysteria. My name is Lou Pate. You are listening to The Savage Nation.
Savage.
Welcome back to the Savage Nation. Lou Pate filling in for Dr. Savage. He will return tomorrow, and I encourage you before, during, and after the show to go to michaelsavage.com for all the latest headlines. You can read them in real time while the show is going on. And while there, pre-order Dr. Savage's last political book, Stop Mass Hysteria. I want you to listen to this clip of former President Barack Obama. It is from 2 years ago. Clint, please, clip number 8.
Some of those jobs of the past are just not going to come back. And when somebody says that he's going to bring all these jobs back, well, how exactly are you going to do that? What are you going to do? There's no answer to it. He just says, well, I'm going to negotiate a better deal. Well, how exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have? And usually the answer is he doesn't have an answer.
Well, he did have an answer, and it's cutting over 1,000 regulations. It's cutting taxes, and boom, we have that proverbial magic wand. And actually, President Trump mocked former President Obama today on Twitter, saying that, yes, evidently he does have a magic wand. And now that's brought that soundbite back up to the surface. President Obama, former President Obama, wants to take credit for this booming economy, but he cannot, okay? Even though the employment numbers are on par from what they were towards the end of his presidency, everything about his presidency has been dismantled by the Trump administration, by President Trump. So there's been a cutoff. It's like a severing of ties and a new beginning, okay? President Obama had the weakest recovery of any president in the post-war era. Now we have consumer confidence through the roof. Why? It's because as soon as the election was over and it was President-elect Trump, people knew, and Wall Street, Main Street, they knew that the regulatory state was going away. It was dead. Okay? Now, and then he cut taxes, cut regulations, and so on and so forth, totally dismantling the policies of the Obama era. Remember, when President Obama came in and when he left, unemployment in the black community went up. Unemployment in the Hispanic community went up. Okay? Again, the weakest recovery of any president in the post-war era. Now, with the cutting of taxes and really the cutting of regulations, too. That doesn't get much play in the media. Tax cuts are the big thing that everybody likes to talk about. But the cutting of regulations has really taken, it's like you get your hand around somebody's throat and you just release it. And now they can breathe. Businesses can breathe. And people know this. And people are hiring. And they're expanding. And there's confidence in the consumers who are out there making purchases. And there's confidence in Wall Street, although Wall Street doesn't want to admit that the Trump policies are working, especially on CNBC. I was watching that this morning. They just, oh man, who's that guy? What's his name? John Fort or something like that. Boy, this guy can't have anything nice to say about America or President Trump. Actually, as a sidebar, I'll tell you, he actually made the comment today that America does not have the manufacturing chops to build the iPhone here in the United States. That's John Fort over on CNBC this morning. I almost ran off my treadmill and killed myself in an accident when he said that. Always something negative about our president. Always, America doesn't have the chops, the manufacturing chops to build iPhones here. Hey, give us that opportunity. That was in reference to Donald Trump calling out Apple to bring things here. So Trump has dismantled the Obama-era policies. How could he, Obama that is, take credit for this economy? 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. With Obama out there, will it help the blue wave or will it bring Trump supporters out? This is the Savage Nation.
Savage.
Welcome back to the Savage Nation. Lou Pate sitting in for Dr. Savage along with Team Savage. He will be back tomorrow, but check out michaelsavage.com for all the latest headlines. And while at michaelsavage.com, pre-order his last political book, Stop Mass Hysteria. We're talking about Obama on the campaign trail. Will it help the blue wave or will it help Trump and the Republicans and help bring out their supporters? Hey, I encourage everybody to vote. You can't get complacent at a time like this. But will it help the Democrats with Obama on the campaign trail or will it help the GOP? I don't think anybody cares about Barack Obama anymore. He doesn't seem to be stumping too much for the people he's supposed to be helping out there. He was really whining about how he's not getting credit for the economy. And as I said, he shouldn't. But is there anybody out there who thinks Barack Obama deserves credit for the economy? I want to hear from you as well. 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Again, all ties were cut. The Obama legacy is the presidency of Donald J. Trump, and in that presidency, he has dismantled most things that Obama has done. So how can he take credit? Are you going to take credit for raising the unemployment rate in the black community? Come, we have the Keystone Pipeline, the Dakota Pipeline. Again, business is allowed to breathe. But listen to, before we get to the calls, listen to this. This is John Kerry. Clip number 9, please, Clint.
Clearly doesn't understand America, doesn't understand the Constitution, doesn't understand the role of the Justice Department, the separation of powers, and that's dangerous.
That's dangerous. What's dangerous is you just lying, John Forbes Kerry, and just saying the way you want it to be. The man obviously understands all of us. He is president of the United States. The economy is booming, and he is working with Kim Jong-un to denuclearize the North Korean peninsula. Yes, it's going to be a roller coaster ride, and do I trust Kim? No. But at least he's got the ball rolling. It was you, John Kerry, who gave back $150 billion to the Iranians and then tried to slip them another $4 billion on skids in cash like a gangster. Come on, who doesn't understand? No, what the people understand is the corrupt ways of the past do not apply to the Trump presidency. In my humble opinion, President Barack Obama is the most corrupt president in the modern era, surveilling press reporters. You see how the media is always going after Donald Trump? Oh, because he called the press the enemy of the people? President Obama was running surveillance on the people who were carrying water for him. Are you kidding me? And went after them with every power of the DOJ. I mean, the guy, he just knew no ends. He obviously wants to be a dictator, probably very jealous of Maduro and Duterte, but this guy wanted to be a king, and it's just not the way we work here. And the Democrats and everybody in the media want to go back to the way it was. So will Obama being out there on the campaign trail help the Dems, or will it help the Republicans? I think the more people like Obama speak, the better it is for the Republicans. We have to get a bigger megaphone out there for Cory Booker. You saw that debacle last week. We have to get an even bigger megaphone for Kamala Harris out there in California. And also Maxine Waters, the three stooges. We can send them out there on the road. We need to, and Ocasio-Cortez, Miss Yorktown Heights, we have to give these people the platform they need so they can show their ignorance and their stupidity and how out of touch they are with you. But let's get to the phones. 855-400-SAVAGE. Do you think Obama on the trail is going to help the Dems or energize Trump supporters? And again, if there's anybody out there, if you think Obama deserves credit for the economy, let us know. Let's go to line 1, WABC. Ron, welcome to the Savage Nation with Lou Pate. How are you?
Hi, yes. I just wanted to say, yes, I do believe that the recovery started under Obama, and Trump deserves some credit too, but Obama deserves some of the credit, if not little, but at least some. And also in regards to the Iran deal, I don't think Obama or Kerry gave Iran that money. That was money that was frozen. That was assets that were frozen.
Well, I said give back.
Right, because
they're the number one state sponsor of terrorism. They didn't deserve that money back, and they certainly didn't deserve the other billions that were given in cash on skids that hostage took a picture of. But let's digress here, Ron. What are you citing as why does Obama deserve partial credit for the recovery when it is noted that he had the weakest recovery of any president in the post-war era?
Even though it was weak, at least it started under him. I'm not saying he was perfect because I don't.
But what did he do? Like I'm telling you, with Trump, it was the cutting of over 1,000 regulations. It was the tax cuts, and what did Obama do?
My thing is that what Obama didn't get to do because of the obstructionist Republican Party that didn't allow him to.
No. He took what he did what he wanted to do with plenty of executive orders. What did he do? Okay, so if you're telling me the obstructionist Republicans didn't allow him to do anything, how could he be responsible then for the recovery?
Well, after he couldn't get anything done, that's when he tried to do the executive order because he was trying to get certain things done.
Okay, so then what did he get done with executive orders that helped the economy? What did he do to stimulate the economy?
You know what? I'm not sure because I didn't vote for Obama the second time. I voted.
I'm not asking you who you voted for. So you're saying that you don't know what he did, but you're just saying he deserves credit.
Well, from what I listened on the news and stuff, they said it started under Obama.
I know, but they never give an example because there is no examples. I mean, you look clearly with Donald Trump, the tax cuts, the cutting of regulations, and other things that he loosened up the chokehold on business.
I'm going to let you go.
But we'll have to agree to disagree there, Ron. But I think you didn't make your point. But thank you for calling, and thank you for listening. We do appreciate it. Let's stay line 3, WABC in New York. Ken, welcome to the Savage Nation with Lou Pate. How are you?
Hi, how are you doing this afternoon?
All right, what's up?
I think Obama should get some credit for it because he made it pretty easy for Trump just to go ahead and reverse the executive orders and regulations and made everything better. We can definitely feel it here over in Pennsylvania. A lot of jobs, a lot of things moving good.
What part of Pennsylvania are you in, Ken?
We're in the Poconos, right on the border of New Jersey.
Oh, okay. So you're eastern Pennsylvania or southeastern Pennsylvania. What industries are by you?
Well, a lot of commuters, we go into Jersey for work, and ever since he's done all the new regulations and he's DG regulated, and he's actually reversed some of these executive orders, as a salesperson, all of our business has just started booming. Everybody's starting to buy stuff.
Do you know any people who did not vote for Trump, voted for Hillary, who are now, maybe they don't like him, but they're happy with Trump with the booming economy?
I know people that voted for Trump that were Hillary. They changed their mind toward the end there after listening to what he had to say, and it made sense. So a lot of the Democratic people I know, at least the 10 I know, about 6 of them voted for Trump. So yes,
okay.
It did.
Well, Ken, I'm glad you're happy, and thank you for calling in. We do appreciate it. Let's go to line 8, WGDJ. Pete, welcome to the Savage Nation with Lou Pate. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling in. Now, you say Obama deserves all the credit for the economy? Are you joking me?
I would not say that he deserves all of it, but I would say that President Obama deserves a significant amount of the credit for the success that we see in the U.S. economy. If you look back at 2008, 2009, I think that President Obama and his administration averted a Great Depression. In particular, you can look at one of his top aides, Brian Deese, who was an architect of the saving of the U.S. auto industry, and we now see a pretty robust performance from Ford, Chevrolet, General Motors, and so.
Wait, the saving of the U.S. auto industry, you're talking about cash for clunkers and all of the government subsidies. Do you know how many millions of dollars that cost American taxpayers? Meanwhile, Ford did not take a nickel of government subsidies from the Obama administration, and they were the only auto company during that era who was turning a profit. Everybody else was losing money because of the government involvement in that business.
I heartily disagree. I think if you...
You can't disagree. It's a fact. Ford is the only one who didn't take money, and Ford is the only one during that time period who turned a profit. That's not made up.
No, it is now turning a profit. So if you...
No. Back then, during the fiscal periods back then, Ford didn't take money. General Motors and the rest did. Then Ford turned a profit, and the other ones didn't. It cost the taxpayers tens of millions of dollars by the government subsidizing the auto industry. That, to me, is not a recipe for success. Is it with you?
I think there was a very particular and intense circumstance, and General Motors continues to exist, and if it had not been bailed out, I think it probably would have been worse, and it would have perhaps gone out of business. And
I don't think they would have gone out of business. There have been car companies that have seen darker days than that, and with the economy being cyclical, they find their way out. But look at it this way. You go through, the president is elected, and it's President-elect Trump. The day after the election, consumer confidence, Wall Street confidence booms because everybody knew the regulatory state was dead. And that they knew that comes the middle of January, I forget inauguration was the 19th or the 20th or the 21st, that the stranglehold on business would go away. That's where it comes from. So technically it begins in early November because the confidence is there, but the confidence is not there because of Barack Obama. The confidence is there because Barack Obama is going away. And a pro-business, pro-American person, Donald J. Trump, is coming in. The regulatory state was dead. The weakest recovery of any president in the post-World War II era was gone. Consumer confidence was through the roof. There was just a report the other day, I saw it on Drudge, that construction workers received a pay raise. Lots of industries are receiving pay raises. Again, the tax cuts and... Again, I don't know why it doesn't get a lot of play, but the regulations that have been taken away. And one caller mentioned the reversal of many executive orders. The Obama policies have been mostly dismantled. So it's like taking a bridge and cutting it in the middle. The train can't cross over. The Obama train, the Obama economic train, went off the rails and into the river. And the Trump train is now on the other side. That is the boom. President Barack Obama has absolutely nothing to do with the booming economy that we are experiencing today. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Check out Dr. Savage's last political book. It's called Stop Mass Hysteria. You can pre-order it now on michaelsavage.com. You are listening to The Savage Nation.
Savage.
It's the Savage Nation. Lou Pate filling in for Dr. Savage. He will be back tomorrow. Go to michaelsavage.com. Get all your latest news and headlines. Pre-order Dr. Savage's last political book. It's called Stop Mass Hysteria. And you will be in on what everybody's going to be talking about once it's in everybody's hands. Stop Mass Hysteria. You will not be disappointed. Let's go to line 7, KKAT in Utah. Steve, welcome to the Savage Nation with Lou Pate. How are you? Hey, Steve.
Yes.
You are on. How can we help you today? All right, Steve, give us a call back. I think you're in a bad cell zone. Let's go to line 2, KVOR, Colorado. Beautiful part of the country down there, Colorado Springs. Tom, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing all right. What's up?
Hey, I just wanted to comment. I think, a lot of this conversation around credit where credit's due is, has to do with how much any president can be given credit for the economy. But I think in that context, you could almost say President Obama, the economy started, the recovery started in spite of President Obama. Everything he did was to overregulate, decrease the size of the middle class, increase dependency upon social welfare programs, and isolate power and money at the top of the country. So all Trump did was take the lid off the trash can. That's what happened.
That's well said. And one thing I left out before, Tom, we were talking with the other caller about the auto industry, was that Obama's policies helped put a lot of money in the pockets of the unions, but it actually screwed over the shareholders. So you could add that to the list that you have right there. Hey, Tom, while I have you from KVOR in Colorado, great station, by the way, do you think Obama being on the trail is going to help the blue wave or help the Trump supporters and the GOP?
Hard to tell. I think neutral to probably negative, because there's such a looking backwards. There are so many people that are paying attention now that they see what he did and what he represented to this country. For some, because there are other opinions out there, of course, but they look at it in the raw data and they see what he was on top of the pile trying to do with his pen and his phone, and they go, that was not this country.
But do people see through? I mean, CNN has absolutely no credibility. MSNBC has absolutely less credibility when it comes to, as I said in the monologue, they report the news the way they want it to be, not what the news is. I remember it was the Michael Wolff book. They were saying Trump sits in bed all day eating cheeseburgers, yelling at the cable TV news shows. It's like, then who's the guy running around the world? Is it an imposter? Is it an impersonator? Who is this guy who's down there in the cabinet room at 6 and 7 a.m. every morning? So they report what they want it to be, and they run with it like it's gospel. I like to think, Tom, that people can see through that, but there are a lot of uninformed people out there, and the media adds to this lack of information and the dummying down of America. That's what worries me.
I think you might, I think a lot of people do see through it, and I think if you said it like this, it's not news. It's a future they are trying to create.
That is well said, and thank you for your call. Do appreciate it. 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. We're going to continue our conversation on the other side. Do you think it's going to help the Democrats with Obama being on the campaign trail, or is it going to energize Trump supporters? And is there a lack of enthusiasm on the GOP side? Historically, the party in power loses a lot of seats, but is this something that the media is trying to convince people that the Republicans are complacent, Trump supporters are complacent, and that Democrats are energized? That and censorship coming up next here on the Savage Nation.
Savage. Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. Now, here he is, author of Liberalism is a Mental Disorder, Trump's War, and God, Faith, and Reason, Michael Savage.
It's the Savage Nation. Lou Pate sitting in for Dr. Savage. He will be back tomorrow. In the meantime, I encourage you to go to michaelsavage.com for all of your latest headlines. And while you're there, you can pre-order Dr. Savage's last political book. It is called Stop Mass Hysteria. You will definitely want to have that in your hands, and then you'll be in on the conversation once it is released to the masses. Stop Mass Hysteria. President Obama is back out on the campaign trail, and coupled with that, we see censorship coming from the tech establishment, from the media establishment. While on the road, President Obama said the following: "The politics of division and paranoia has found a home, unfortunately, in the Republican Party. They've embraced wild conspiracy theories by those surrounding Benghazi or my birth certificate." This is insanity. Chris Paronto, who fought for his life in Benghazi, responded to the president, the former president, and criticized him. He has now been suspended from Twitter. Okay? Benghazi, a conspiracy. Our ambassador was killed. 4 other brave Americans were killed while others fought for their life. While Obama, I can't even say he slept through it, because to date, nobody knows where Obama was on that night. The 3 a.m. call came to Hillary Clinton, and she decided not to send help. The blood and the death of those men is on her hands, because she decided not to help them. We could have sent our brave men and women from the military there. It's not a conspiracy. It happened. People lost their lives because of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton in Benghazi. And for him to say, and I quote, "They've embraced wild conspiracy theories by those surrounding Benghazi," is just spitting in the face of the parents and brothers and sisters and friends of those who lost family members. It's appalling, but this is Barack Obama. He is a political animal. Everything is about ideology. Everything is about politics. But the problem here is the issue of censorship. Chris Paronto is now being censored from Twitter. Others have had their applications taken down from offline from companies such as Apple and other big companies. This is censorship simply because the left, who controls these companies, are intolerant of anybody else's opinion that disagrees with their. Free speech be damned. It doesn't matter. If you disagree with the leftist agenda of the Apple company and Twitter and Facebook and all of these others, the puppet that he is, Mark Zuckerberg, they will censor you. And then they'll turn and call President Trump a fascist. Then they'll call him a dictator. And then they'll criticize him for saying the press is the enemy of the people. Tech companies are the enemy of the people, in my opinion. The media is the enemy of the people. The president was right. And again, that is my opinion, because look at their actions. They condemn anyone who disagrees with them. They want to stifle free speech. They won't even criticize the Antifa thugs, who are just a bunch of rich white kids who put on the Antifa uniform, the hoodie, and the bandana, and go damage things. It's amazing how the double standard, the hypocrisy that's out there. But when you start censoring people's opinion because you disagree with it politically, you are a fascist. That's where it comes from, and this is what we are seeing. And Obama only perpetuates the problem by calling a Benghazi a conspiracy theory. Again, it was under his watch, and again, he failed miserably. I want to play some clips because I also want to mention that with Obama out there on the campaign trail, I want you to listen to his words, not mine, his words. There's no message. Is there any message about jobs? Is there any message about peace in the world? Is there any message about moving society forward? No, everything is race and misogyny and slavery and discrimination and prejudice. No plan. Just honestly, like his presidential message, had no plan. It was us against them. Not America moving forward. It's always us against them. Always the victim mentality, and always trying to make people feel that someone has the boot heel on their neck, because that's the only way the Democratic Party can survive, is to make people think they are victims, to make people think that there's someone out to get them, and the only way that you can stop these people from keeping them down is to put the Democrats in power. That's their message. And that's his message. Let's listen to clip number 2. This is Obama. Please, Clint.
And so in response to the stain of slavery,
and segregation and the reality of racial discrimination. The civil rights movement not only opened new doors for African Americans, but also opened up the floodgates of opportunity for women and Americans with disabilities and LGBT Americans, others to make their own claims to full and equal citizenship. And although discrimination remained a pernicious force in our society and continues to this day, and although there are controversies about how to best ensure genuine equality of opportunity, there's been at least rough agreement among the overwhelming majority of Americans that our country is strongest when everybody's treated fairly.
Is it kind of like treating Republicans fairly, or sentencing climate change deniers, as they're called on the left, to death? Or that speech might have worked 50 or 60 years ago, but that has been the message of the Democratic Party for the last 60 years. And it goes on. Clint, please, clip number 3.
And even though your generation is the most diverse in history, with a greater acceptance and celebration of our differences than ever before, those are the kinds of conditions that are ripe for exploitation by politicians who have no compunction and no shame about tapping into America's dark history of racial and ethnic and religious division. Appealing to tribe, appealing to fear, pitting one group against another, telling people that order and security will be restored if it weren't for those who don't look like us or don't sound like us or don't pray like we do. That's an old playbook. It's as old as time. And in a healthy democracy, it doesn't work.
Who is saying that, by the way? Only Obama is saying that. He's using the playbook of the 1960s and the 1970s and 80s and 90s and 2000s and into 2018. I mean, it's the same thing. Who's saying these things? Gay marriage is legal. Who is being discriminated against? Except, of course, you come across some individual pocket here and there. But where is the discrimination? Who is being denied housing? Who is being denied health care? Who is being denied an education? Who is actually trying to stop people, conservatives, from giving speeches at colleges? Oh, liberals. Who is stifling free speech? Who is suspending people on Twitter and banning apps of others on social media? Liberals. Who are the thugs who break windows of stores and at universities and burn situations like we saw in Berkeley and we saw again in San Diego? Oh, Antifa. Who does Antifa belong to? Tom Steyer, George Soros, liberals. So you want to talk about the playbook of the past. Obama is the past. Okay? He is a relic of a bygone era, and he still wants to remain relevant because his ego, as I said, is as big as his ears. Oh, did I go there? Oh, I must be racist. Let's get to the phones. Let's go to WABC. Mandy, welcome to the Savage Nation with Lou Pate. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to say that I think it's so interesting that Barack Obama wants to take full credit for starting the economic recovery. And I wonder if he'll also take credit for starting the uncivil discourse and the ugly division in the country and the anti-police sentiment and all the other things that are just so awful with what's going on right now. Seems to me that Barack Obama only wants credit for the good stuff, which is so typical of him. There are days that I wake up and I can't even bear to put on the TV, but I get through it because I want to listen to the news. And over the past couple of days, seeing him on the TV, again, stirring everybody up with his ugly sentiments, I've just had to turn the TV off and turn the radio on. And so I just want to thank you for what you have to say and for allowing me and others to have a voice.
Yeah, Mandy, no, I appreciate your call. The left would not allow you to say that. They would try to stifle your free speech. You see it every day. And it's interesting, Mandy, I know that this is kind of a rhetorical question, but what is Obama's message in what I've played and everything you've heard over the weekend that we don't have time to play everything here? Is there any message on the economy and jobs? Is there any message on peace in the Korean Peninsula? Is there any message on bettering our trade deals? There's nothing. They have nothing. They bring nothing to the table except to make a certain portion of the population think that someone's trying to take away their freedoms. Meanwhile, it's the left who's stifling free speech and freedom.
That's absolutely right. I mean, I think the left certainly calls Donald Trump a showman, and he is a showman. But if you see and remember all of the things that Barack Obama did, and the left did, I mean, Barack Obama is the ultimate showman. I don't know whether you remember him coming on stage and singing, you know, I'm so in love with you. He's the ultimate showman.
Is that with Jimmy Fallon? I think he did that one with, right? Jeez. I should be hosting that show. Fallon should be fired. No, he is. Listen, he just couldn't play the saxophone like Bill Clinton with the sunglasses. But thank you for your call, Mandy. Everything sounds better with a British accent, doesn't it? 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Lou Pate here with you. This is the Savage Nation.
Savage.
It's the Savage Nation. Lou Pate sitting in for Dr. Savage. He will be back tomorrow. Right now, I'm ably assisted by Team Savage. They're doing a great job today, as always. Go to michaelsavage.com for all the latest news and headlines. While there, pre-order Dr. Savage's last political book. It's called Stop Mass Hysteria. Again, Stop Mass Hysteria. It's like reading the events that are going on now, the hysterics in the media and in politics in real time. Again, Stop Mass Hysteria. 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. We got a lot going on. We're talking about Barack Obama on the campaign trail. Will it help the blue wave, or will it bring enthusiasm to Trump supporters and the GOP? Then there's also the issue of Barack Obama taking credit for the economy. Do you think he deserves credit for the economy? As I've mentioned, Trump has dismantled everything, or pretty much everything, that Obama had done. So how can it be a continuation? Actually, earlier today during the White House press briefing, the Council of Economic Advisors, Kevin Hassett, said, and I quote, "The current good economic news is not a continuation of a trend," end quote. And you know what? It can't be a continuation of a trend, because they've dismantled everything by getting rid of regulations, adding in the tax cuts, and so on and so forth down the road. It's so much that they've done that are not just polar opposites to the direction that Obama's economy was taking us. Like I said, it's a train going across a bridge. Obama's goes off the rails because the tracks have been severed and down into the river. And the Trump train continues on with new policies and consumer confidence and an economic boom. That's just the facts. Before we get back to the phones, I got to mention, we mentioned the blue wave. You have people like Michael Moore. He's out there. I could tell you what he's going to say before he wakes up in the day. He's so predictable. But you also have people like Jim Carrey, alleged comedian. Used to be funny about a million years ago. And he's now saying, stop apologizing and say yes to socialism. Jim Carrey's a buffoon. Jim Carrey is in favor of socialism, yet Jim Carrey's ex-wife had to go after him for child support. So do you see about back in 2003? Google it. You'll find it. Do you see the way these people live? Oh, yes, I'm in favor of socialism. Oh, but I don't want to pay my own child support to support my own kid. Well, my ex-wife has to come after me, and it has to be a whole big legal shindig that's played out in the media, because at the time his career was booming. Not so much now, but at the time his career was booming. So Jim Carrey, just another liberal hypocrite out there, has to be dragged into court to pay child support for his own kid, but wants you to say yes, and other Democrats to say yes to socialism. You can't make this stuff up. He was on Bill Maher's show. Why doesn't Bill Maher have me on? Hey, Bill Maher, you should have me on your show. We'll lighten that stage up, boy. That show smells like mothballs these days. So you have people like Jim Carrey on. Oh, yes, stop apologizing. Say yes to socialism. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Jim Carrey? The last girl that went out with Jim Carrey killed herself. I mean, need I say more about what it's like to be Jim Carrey? Unbelievable. But take care of your own kid, Jim Carrey, before you start telling other people how to live their lives. Truly amazing. Let's go to line one. Phil, WABC. Welcome to the Savage Nation with Lou Pate.
Hi. Do you ever, get like physical pain from trying to create these false agendas? Like you're contorting yourself so much in terms of the agenda that you're creating, and it reminds.
Give me an example, Phil.
Trump can't get a single fact right.
Give me an example, Phil. Give me an example.
One fact. Wait, tell me one fact, my friend, that Donald Trump has gotten right in the past 3 years, both campaigning and now in the 20 months he's been president. He can't get a single fact right.
Give me an example, Phil.
All right. Over the weekend, he said that he was the first president to have achieved something in 100 years where the unemployment rate is now lower than the GDP, okay? And it turns out that that's happened 60 times in the last 72 years.
Phil, why are you so angry? I can hear the anger in your voice. Is it because Hillary lost, or is it because are you mad at the economy's booming? Is the economy not booming?
Reporter Hillary will kill the Democratic Party if she runs.
Is the economy not booming, Phil?
The economy has been booming since the last 5-6 years of the Obama administration, and that trend has...
Okay, listen, I wish I could talk to someone who had thoughts of their own and not someone who was just going to recite talking points. I could hear that on MSNBC. Come on. Give me an example. Obama killed the economy. The worst recovery of any president post-World War II. This is the Savage Nation.
Savage.
Welcome back to the Savage Nation. Lou Pate in for Dr. Savage. He'll be back tomorrow, but we encourage you to check out michaelsavage.com for all your latest news and headlines. Subscribe to the newsletter delivered free to your inbox. And while there, you can pre-order Dr. Savage's last political book, It's called Stop Mass Hysteria. Everybody in the media should buy it. I hope he doesn't give them copies. Everybody in the media should buy it. It's called Stop Mass Hysteria. And of course, there is a hysteric tone in the media because Barack Obama, the sainted one, the king, the Messiah, he is back. And he is out campaigning for the hard left wing of the Democratic Party. But will this help the blue wave or will it hurt? Will this get the so-called complacent Republicans up out of their chairs and go vote for congressional candidates so that the Republicans do not lose the House? Does Obama hurt or does it help? And does he get credit for the economy like he's taking credit for? Funny thing, out there campaigning for people, constantly talking about himself. Can you say narcissist? We also talked about celebrities. You got Michael Moore, you got Jim Carrey, telling people to embrace socialism. These guys are worth tens of millions of dollars, and financial issues really do not apply to them. They live in their big houses. They live their luxurious Hollywood lifestyle. Of course they want socialism. It's, socialism for thee, not for me. They're not going to give up any of their luxuries in their life. They're not going to come down off the mountain and live with us, the peasants and the serfs. No, they're going to live high on the hog, like a Nancy Pelosi, like a Mark Zuckerberg behind their big walls. Walls are good around and gates are good around their property, but when you want to build a wall on the southern border, no, that makes you some type of racist or something along those lines. It is truly amazing that the Obama mystique is still out there, but the anger remains. Like you heard the last call, Phil, WABC. What are people so angry about? Well, because Hillary lost? Hillary's a thief. Hillary's a crook, and probably a lot more. Remember, it was Dirty Donna Brazile, the one who cheated on the debates by giving the questions to Hillary Clinton. And Dirty Donna got fired from CNN, and as DNC chair, how come there was no ramifications for Hillary Clinton for accepting those answers to the debate questions? It was Dirty Donna Brazile who, in her book, said, and I'm paraphrasing here, I don't have a copy in front of me, I used to have one, it said that she was so fearful when she got fired that she was closing her shades and her drapes at night because she feared for her life from a sniper. No Republicans are sending snipers out there. Who did she fear was going to send someone after to take her life? This is Donna Brazile. Now she's kind of reinvented herself and she's back on there and they gave her a pass because she's a Democrat. Could you imagine if a Republican cheated on a debate like that on the presidential level? It's amazing. The past that Hillary Clinton received, and the media turns a blind eye. The Clinton crime family of Arkansas, with all of their consiglieres, Terry McAuliffe and all of the others who are now going to run for president, it's laughable. The media is a joke. The Department of Justice is a joke that they don't enforce the laws on our books unless it's somebody politically unfavorable who they don't like, is what it comes down to. Comey and all the rest, they gave Hillary a pass. And now Obama's back, and he thinks those same rules apply. He does not realize that Americans are not stupid. See, former President Barack Obama thinks Americans are stupid. And he did that. He showed that with the way he governed. He showed that with his speech to call Benghazi a conspiracy theory. Also talking about the issue of censorship with the soldier, Chris Paronto, who's now been suspended from Twitter. No one has a problem with this. They have a problem when Trump says the media, who lies every day, is the enemy of the people. But when social media suspends people for being accurate and criticizing a liar like Barack Obama, someone who I think was involved in criminal activity and the most corrupt administration in recent history, a man who surveilled the press, who they still defend him, those who carried water, and he is criticized rightly by this gentleman, this soldier, this brave hero, Chris Paronto, and he's the one who gets suspended? I mean, the media really needs to look in the mirror. Social media needs to look in the mirror. Let's get back to the phones. Does Obama being out on the campaign trail hurt or help the Dems? And what do you think about censorship from social media and from tech companies? It's the beginning of fascism, folks. It's a slippery slope once you start going down it. 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Let's go to line 2, WALG in Georgia. That's some Georgia honky-tonk, huh? Leanne, welcome to the Savage Nation with Lou Pate.
Well, hey, how are you?
I'm doing all right. What's up?
Dropped off my grandkids, and I was in the car listening. I hadn't listened to your whole program today, but a thought came to me about Obama when he went over to England and when he gave that speech to try to encourage them not to vote for Brexit.
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me of that. He encouraged them not to vote for Brexit, and he also went over there and gave a speech against Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel.
Right. So what I wanted to know, is he going to use his magic wand of defeat and also bring that magic wand to the midterms and bring that magic wand and cause defeat for the Democrats?
Hey, Leanne, you are very crafty. I like what you did there. I don't think I didn't notice that magic wand comment, because his magic wand comment is coming back today to bite him in the lower end in the form of our booming economy.
Well, I've been hearing that, too, but I've also been reading that some of the Democrats do not want Obama on the campaign trail, and that's actually puzzling to me, because he's supposed to be the leader since they're leaderless right now, and you know, they had two crazies during the Supreme Court hearings that are thinking about running for 2020, and they've blown their opportunity with their crazy behavior at the Supreme Court. So basically, at the Supreme Court hearings, but basically they don't really have a leader. So you would think they would be falling to embrace Obama right now, but there are some that are seemingly not wanting him to get on the trail, and it may be because it reminds all of us where we don't want to go back to. The 8 years when, to get it down to the, hardcore, we have a medium to small town, and business went terrible.
But you know what it is, Leanne? You touched on something. You touched on something that I touched on before, is that they have no leader because they have no message. All of the sound bites that I've been playing that Clint and Jim have worked hard putting together, and I do appreciate that, so you guys can hear it, is there's no message. It's all divisive. Trump's the most divisive president in history. Then they say, oh, they're racist, they're misogynist, they're prejudiced, they're discriminatory, they don't like gays, they don't like women. And what's his message? I keep saying there's no message on the economy, there's no message on anything, yet they're the ones pointing the finger that, oh, these people hate you. I mean, what is the Democrats' plan for the economy, Leanne? There is none. So no one's jumping out and, Cory Booker, you cited him, and crazy Kamala Harris, you cited her. If I could, I'd put them on a national radio show every day so everybody could hear how stupid they are every day, because they don't have a message either. The way they attacked Brett Kavanaugh last week, really what they were trying to do was prop up themselves, but I agree with you that they probably hurt themselves even more. What do you think?
I think so. I think people that aren't really paying attention that might have seen some of the clips. We learned in kindergarten how to have civil manners and to be polite in a hearing, and that was out the window with all the Code Pink people and people that were getting paid outside after they said they were just paying them in case they got fined for going to, be arrested or whatever. I don't care why they were.
Well, they don't teach that stuff. They don't teach all of that etiquette, and they don't teach manners and all of that mismanner stuff in school anymore. Hey, Leanne, I got to run, but thank you very much. Do appreciate your time. The economy is the big issue. It is the one thing that the media cannot lie about, so they don't talk about it. Think about it. You're looking at fake news CNN. You're looking at fake news MSNBC. It's Trump this, Trump that. Oh, this guy's coming out with another book, and this one's releasing another recording. And, oh, this guy's son went hunting and killed some animal that's going to be extinct. They never want to talk about the economy because the economy is doing incredible. Okay, and that's really all anybody cares about. You care about being able to feed and house your children and give them a nice education and a nice future, bring the next generation up another peg. I mean, that's really what it's all about, the American dream. It's not about just divisive and getting what you can from the government, and a free education and free this and free that doesn't help anybody. This is America. We have helped countries that we were at war with. Remember, we were at war in Afghanistan. They had a horrible earthquake. Something like 70,000 people died. We sent aid. We're at war with the Taliban, who was hiding in Afghanistan, and we sent them aid. In America, yeah, healthcare is an issue, but anybody walks into an emergency room and they're hurt, they take care of you. They stitch you up. They get you back up going, okay? America has a lot of compassion. The America that the Democrats talk about, it's not the America I live in, and I lived in 9 cities and 7 different states over the course of the last 20 years. In nice areas, not nice areas, transient areas. I've dealt with every single kind of people, and this is not the America I see. Are we perfect? No, of course not. No place is perfect. But all of this division and all of this anger, heck, can anybody say the economy's doing bad? No, the economy's doing great, and we have to implement plans that will help it do even better. Not bring it back to the 1950s or the 1960s the way Barack Obama wants to do, the civil rights movement. Slavery is what he was talking about in his speech. Would someone buy this guy a calendar? Because if the Democrats are not living back in those days, in the mid-60s, they don't have a message. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. 855-400-SAVAGE. Censorship of a war hero, Barack Obama, on the campaign trail. Does it help or hurt the blue wave, or does it enthuse red state Republicans? And what about the censorship of Chris Paronto? A war hero kicked off Twitter, suspended from Twitter for telling the truth about what a liar Barack Obama is? 855-400-SAVAGE. My name is Lou Pate. This is the Savage Nation.
Savage.
Welcome back to the Savage Nation. Lou Pate filling in for Dr. Savage. He will be back tomorrow. In the meantime, go to michaelsavage.com. Get all your news and headlines before, during, and after the show. And while there, pre-order Dr. Savage's last political book. It's called Stop Mass Hysteria. And that's what we definitely have going on out there now. You know, I'm a student of history. I love history. And, you know, on this day in 1919 in New York, so our listeners at WABC will relate to this, New Yorkers took to the streets to welcome our war heroes home. 25,000 soldiers home from the battlefields of Europe, yearly a year after World War I's armistice. They had a giant victory parade down Fifth Avenue. General John Blackjack Pershing led the 1st Infantry Division to the throngs of people lining the sidewalks. It was called Pershing's Parade after the general. I wonder today if that would happen. I don't think, especially younger people, I'm young, but younger people really understand that everything that we enjoy and take for granted in this country today comes from the sacrifices of our military over the past few hundred years. I don't think some people really truly understand that. Let's go to line 1, WABC. Dave, welcome to the Savage Nation with Lou Pate. How are you?
All righty.
What's up?
I beg to differ on you regard to Trump. Trump is a liar and a crook. He filed bankruptcy several times, and he cheated his employees and contractors in a lot of those casinos.
Wait, hold on. Declaring bankruptcy doesn't make you a crook. A lot of people declare bankruptcy.
He stiffed a lot of employees that worked in those casinos after filing bankruptcy as a result.
No, bankruptcy is it's a protection that is put out. If you have a problem with the bankruptcy law, does that mean that everybody who's declared bankruptcy is a crook?
Indeed. Trump should not get credit for the economy either.
Hold on, I asked you a question. Does that mean everybody who has not who then sidestepped creditors because they declared bankruptcy, does that make them a crook?
Yeah, they do also. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. That's true also.
So then you're saying that our bankruptcy laws should be changed.
The bankruptcy laws should be changed to a certain extent, but when Trump does it more than once, then there's a problem there. And what about the fact?
But Dave, can we just cut to the chase and say you just don't like Trump?
That's not true. I have facts to back up my points.
But can we just say that I could hear the hate in your voice, like Phil at WABC too. I mean, you just don't like Trump.
Sir, I've got evidence to back it up with.
All right, then lay it on me.
Okay, Trump should not get credit for the economy. That started on Obama's watch. Obama inherited a terrible economy from George Bush as a result of the mortgage.
Wait, no. See, now you're wrong because I have facts too. Facts are the Democrats took over the House and the Senate after the 2006 election. In January of 2007, the Democrats took control of the House and the Senate. Barney Fife up there in Massachusetts was a big mouth back then. And by September of 2008, the economy crashed under the leadership of the House and Senate led by the Democrats.
Regulated the banks. That was after that Obama and whoever was in office at that time instituted to protect the public from that type of nonsense.
The nonsense of the Democratic Party. The whole predatory mortgage crisis is at the feet of the Democrats. That is a fact.
You're not talking nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
All right, Dave. Who took over control of the House and the Senate in January 2007? The Democrats. Okay. Who instituted all of the policies that led to the mortgage crisis, which crashed the economy in 2008? Democrats. That's not nonsense. That's fact. No? Dave? I guess Dave hung up. You just don't like Trump. It's okay not to like Trump, but let's stop with the nonsense. The economy is booming because what Trump has done since Obama left. Obama tanked the economy with his policies that strangled and suffocated businesses. We'll continue. If you're holding, please continue to hold. We're going to get right back to your calls here on the Savage Nation.
Michael Savage, a host like no other.